reduce advertisement cost एक्टिविटी लेवल एक ब्रॉडर टर्म है जिसमें हमारे पास मशीन आवर्स भी आ जाते हैं, लेबर आवर्स भी आ जाते हैं, यूनिट्स प्रोड्यूस, एडवर्टाइजमेंट कॉस्ट आ जाती है। नाउ when we define the cost according to activity level or under cost by behavior, हमारे पास 4 classification आ जाती है। One is fixed cost, other is variable cost, then semi-variable cost, and fourth classification is step fixed cost. Okay, now we define the fixed cost. Fixed, what is your fixed cost? जब हमने कॉस्ट बाय बिहेवियर में डिफाइन करने जाना है कॉस्ट को, तो हमने इसका ग्राफ भी देखना है। फिक्स कॉस्ट, हमने ग्राफ जो है 2 पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखना है, दैट इज टोटल फिक्स कॉस्ट बिहेवियर एंड पर यूनिट फिक्स कॉस्ट बिहेवियर। What is the meaning of fixed? First of all, we keep in mind meaning of fixed. Fixed means no change. So, what is fixed cost? The cost which cannot change is fixed cost. It remains same, constant, but with activity level. Keep in mind activity level. Activity level. So we define the cost which is constant with activity level is known as fixed cost. कौन कौन सी ऐसी कॉस्ट है जो एक्टिविटी लेवल के साथ फिक्स रहती है? रेंट, रेंट आपकी ऐसी कॉस्ट है जो कि एक्टिविटी लेवल के साथ चेंज नहीं होता है, अकॉर्डिंग टू स्पेस होता है, और एक हर मंथ आपका फिक्स्ड अमाउंट होती है। सैलरीज ऑफ मैनेजर्स is fixed. Straight line depreciation. हर साल हम एक ही अमाउंट डेप्रिसिएशन की चार्ज करते हैं, तो ये हमारे पास कौन सी कॉस्ट है? फिक्स्ड कॉस्ट है। All these are the examples of the fixed cost. For the graph, we will make a table, activity level and rent cost. Suppose if activity level is 1,000, our rent cost is 2,000. Activity level is 2,000. Our rent cost is 2,000. It remains constant. There is no change in the cost if increase in activity level. So when we draw the graph of fixed cost, the graph is like parallel to x-axis. In y-axis, we put the cost, and in x-axis, we put the activity level. because activity level is your independent factor and independent factor is always put on the x-axis. When we convert is per unit cost is equal to total cost divided by units. What is your total cost? 2000 divided by 1000. It is 2 per unit. 2000 divided by 2000. It is 1 per unit. So what we conclude about the fixed cost per unit, we conclude behavior of fixed cost per unit. Increase in units, if we move towards increase in units, decrease in cost per unit, decrease in cost per unit, decrease in units, increase in cost per unit. If we move towards 1000 to 2000, our cost is decreases 2 to 1 per unit. If we move towards 2000 to 1000, decrease in units, our cost increases. So now we will draw the graph of the fixed cost per unit. When we draw the graph is like that. On y-axis, we put the cost per unit. And x-axis activity level. It is inverse behavior graph. Moving towards units increase, decrease in cost per unit. All the costs which we classify under the example of the fixed cost, when we convert in per unit, it behave like that. Now, our next classification is variable cost. Again, we see the behavior of variable cost, total and per unit. So, what is the meaning of variable? If we define the variable cost, variable mean change. So, when we define the variable cost, we said the cost which changes with activity level. It is directly proportional with the activity level. If increase in units, cost also increases. The best example of the variable cost is direct cost. Direct cost is variable cost. Direct cost includes, direct cost is sum of direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses. Now we will draw the graph of the variable cost. For the graph, we will take example activity level and direct material cost. 1000 units cost is was 2000. for 2000 units, cost is 4000. For if units are zero, cost is zero. If no production, no material cost. So when we draw the graph of the variable cost, on y-axis we put the cost, activity level. It moves from origin to upward. It's direct relation cost graph. Now, we calculate the variable cost per unit. I already discussed the per unit formula. Per unit, that is 2 per unit. Again, there is 2 per unit. It means variable cost per unit doesn't change with the activity level. It remains constant. So when we draw the graph of the variable cost per unit, it is like that. It is behave like fixed cost. If we see the graph of the fixed cost total, the graph is also same. If I draw the fixed cost graph, it is also same. So in exam, how we will differentiate our fixed cost or variable cost. On y-axis, the word cost per unit and the word cost differentiate the fixed cost graph and variable cost graph. Fixed cost in total is constant and variable cost is per unit is constant. Okay, clear? Next is next classification is semi-variable cost. If we understand the variable cost and fixed cost, we can easily understand the semi-variable cost and semi-fixed cost, also known as mixed cost. We define the semi-variable cost, the cost which behave like fixed and variable cost at same time is your mixed or semi-variable cost. When we see the examples of semi-variable cost, examples are telephone bill, line rent is fixed, consumption charges is variable. Next is telephone bill, salesperson salary, basic salary is fixed, Consumption is, commission is variable. Commission is variable. So when we draw the graph of the semi-variable cost, the graph is like that, which behave like fixed cost and variable cost. Semi-variable cost can never be zero because of the fixed element. This portion is shows your variable cost. This portion shows your fixed cost. Again, keep in mind on x-axis there is activity level and on y-axis there is cost. This is your semi-variable cost. Now, last classification is step fixed cost. When we define the fixed cost, we define it we define the step fixed cost as the cost which is fixed for certain activity level and the cost which fixed for the certain activity level and then increases is known as step fixed cost. When we draw the graph of step fixed cost, we will draw like that. It is fixed for the certain activity level, then increases, again remains fixed, and then increases, again remains fixed. Cost, activity level, y-axis, x-axis. Examples are all fixed cost. The rent of single factory is fixed cost. Rent of two factories is step fixed cost. Straight line depreciation of two machines. So we have completed successfully our cost by behavior classification.